You expired Jesus, but the source of life gushed forth for souls, and the ocean of mercy opened up for the whole world. O fount of life, unfathomable divine mercy, envelope the whole world, empty yourself out upon us. O blood and water, which gushed forth from the heart of Jesus as a fountain of mercy for us, I trust in you. Dear brothers and sisters, did you pray the chaplet of divine mercy before? I guess most. If you did you experience that unfathomable mercy of Jesus descending upon us like the morning dew? I had a profound experience of His divine mercy 6 years ago in Papua New Guinea. From 2010 to 2012, I was a lay missionary and assigned to teach English in a highland high school among deep mountains, St. Joseph's Terry Secondary School. The early missionaries from our province and St. Conrad province established the first secondary in that area. It educated the boys and girls from bushes and mountains to become the finest candidates in prestigious universities in Papua New Guinea, such as University of Papua New Guinea. Father Pius is one alumnus from that school. Philemon Yako was my 12th grade student in 2011. This is a picture when he came to the rectory to get free blanket. In the middle of the year, he disappeared from the students. Later on, I got to know that from the students that he contracted HIV/AIDS. It's a doom in Highland culture. People shun from AIDS patients as if they are lepers. The family of AIDS patients feel so ashamed that they could dump them into wilderness, letting them to starve to death. Eventually, kind-hearted students led me to a simple hut hidden among the bushes. His health was declining quickly, and his heart was dying of despondency and disappointment of people's resent and negligence. Watching his miserable situation, I did feel compassionate with him. I started a special caring mission with kind students for Philemon. After my daily teaching and administrative responsibilities in the school, I drove a school van to a local store, which was only one can provide refrigerated milk, butter, and eggs. I got those food and carried with me to visit him almost daily. Students helped me to wash Philemon's stinky body as well. In 2 weeks, it seemed he was approaching death quickly. Indy and Port Clare sisters taught me how to pray Divine Mercy Chaplet. They told me when I put Philemon's name in the prayer, for example, for the sake of his sorrowful passion, have mercy on Philemon and on the whole world, and pray with all your heart and strength, he would experience miraculous healing. Numerous people in India experienced miraculous healing because of this prayer. One evening, I went to visit Philemon again. His body was stiff and cold. His eyes were bulged out. He's dying. I thought he was dead, but he did have breath. Students and I washed his body again, and I prayed the Divine Mercy Chaplet. I told him I loved him deeply, and I prayed the peace and comfort from the Lord be with him. After that prayer, I went home. In the early morning of next day, my phone rang. I thought maybe it was Philemon's family announcing the death news of him. However, the person who called told me that Philemon wanted to talk with me. What? He's still alive? I couldn't believe it. It turned out that Philemon did survive that night. He began to talk and he said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Tu. I did not greet you last night. It was my fault. But I heard everything you said. Thank is very hard to believe miraculous healing in developed countries, but in a poor and rural village like Philemon's, without any medical care and even basic hygiene, it happened, and people believed it. 1 week later, when I visited Philemon again with students and helped to wash his body, he said to me, "Mr. Tu, I want to show you something." He held up a long stick beside his wheelchair and he stood up. I was thrilled. That was one of the most beautiful days in my life. I saw with my eyes a person should have died, came back to life because of the divine mercy of God. With loving care and encouragement, Philemon was getting better and better. However, some authoritative people in the high school began to warn me not getting too much involved in Philemon's life. I have more than 700 students in school needing my care. If he can survive, he does not really need your daily care. If he cannot survive, what worth is your special care? He needs to be independent. I trusted those people's words and I did feel exhausted to visit him almost every day. I need a break from Philemon, and he needs to be independent. For 1 week, I fully engaged myself in schoolwork and did not pick up any phone calls from him. In a word, I shunned him for 1 week. After 1 week, I went to visit him again and I realized I made a tremendous mistake. Philemon was deeply depressed and his health was declining exponentially. He did not talk to me and I knew his heart was hurt profoundly because of my 1 week's shun against him. Philemon could not stand anymore and he died in 2 weeks. One thing comforting was that before his death, he decided to move to a local Catholic AIDS clinic. He gave his last trust and hope to the church and he promised to pray for every student in Tari Secondary School. We buried him beside the hut he lastly stayed and erected a cross in front of his tomb. Maybe brothers and sisters, you think that I'm telling the story of Philemon to prove God shows his mercy to send me as a missionary to the poor suffering soul in a distant village in PNG. However, actually I want to say I am the poor one who failed God's love and needs his mercy desperately. When Philemon needed me mostly, I ignored him and I shunned him. When he was approaching death, I believed he must be very lonely. His body was experiencing extreme pain, but his heart was experiencing the excruciating agony, rejection, coldness, betrayal, bitterness, loneliness, and helplessness. That's what he embraced at that moment. Mother Teresa said when she saw a dying poor man ask for water, she saw the living Christ. I saw living Christ in dying Philemon, but I doubted and I rejected him relentlessly. He suffered and died lonely, but I did not give a hand. In prayers, I came to the Lord and I asked him to examine my heart. Why did I become so cold and determined? Why did I feel you and Philemon? You let me see a dead spirit come back to life because of your merciful love. You let me see I cruelly trampled on that tender love. My Lord, my God, like doubting Thomas, I plead you to strengthen my faith. The Lord answered me that even though I failed him again and again, he never gives up on me. He always stretched his nailed hands to me. inviting me patiently to build up a faithful relationship with Him through loving and serving other people. In the Year of Mercy logo, we see two persons. One is at the bottom with pierced hands and a compassionate look. Another one is on his shoulder, weary but deeply thankful. Which person do you think you are? Maybe you will say, I am the person who is on the shoulder of Jesus. He always uplifts me. That is correct. But how about the one at the bottom? Could you be that one? Blasphemy! Maybe you say, do you think you are Jesus? Yes, I believe I am a little Jesus. After our daily consuming the Eucharist, the true blood and body of Jesus, we become a little Jesus. We live His life, we spread His love and word, and we suffer His death through entering people's immense suffering. In Father Paul's word, we are brothers for others. We are little Jesus for each other, and we take up each other's cross. When we are weak and depressed, when you are weak and depressed, I become your Jesus to lift you up on my shoulders. When I am suffering with unspeakable pain, you become my Jesus to lift me up on your shoulders. In the sharing and carrying the cross, we are building the loving kingdom of God among us. In building up this kingdom of God, do I pray, oh God, please deliver me from that miserable, disgusting, disturbing sinner, that selfish liar, a terrible soul doomed to go to hell? Or do I pray, oh God, illumine my soul, let me see the darkness of my heart, make me an instrument of your love, to love those unloved souls, to kiss the leper, and to wash the feet of sinners. When we are facing hardship in our relationships with other people, do we seek Jesus in that relationship? Do we give up endurance and go back to our comfortable ego? Do I trust with undivided heart the real presence of Jesus in that difficult relationship, and totally submit myself to love the Lord through loving the other person? Do I not look at my failure, my betrayal, my unbelief, and my unfaithfulness, but always gaze on the loving, forgiving, faithful, and compassionate Jesus? O Lord, increase my faith. Lord, have mercy.